Well, we're in a series we call it Engage, because it's our word for 2026. But we've been looking at, over the past couple of weeks, spiritual disciplines or practices. I would really like to maybe just call them rhythms of the Christian life, things that should be normal, that are a part of the normal Christian life we see through in the life of Jesus as he modeled it. We also look at the New Testament and the early church, that these were normal parts of the Christian life. And these are intentional and strategic ways for us to turn aside. And that's kind of what we're focusing on as we head into 21. It's a kickoff tonight, and then the fast begins tomorrow morning. And so love for you to be a part of any and all of that which you can be a part of. But I would just encourage you over the next 21 days to turn aside, to take these opportunities to be like, Lord, what is it that you're doing in the midst of my everyday, in the midst of my life, in the midst of my ordinary? What is it that you're saying? And we talked last week about fasting. The whole church fast, like I said, begins tomorrow morning. I hope you've had time to kind of prepare and to go through that fasting guide. If you didn't, there's a bunch of fasting guides on those plexiglass kind of stands in the back. You can take one home with you today and be able to just kind of, all right, set my purpose, make a plan. How am I going to engage? Pre-decide what that's going to look like. But I would encourage you to kind of take that with you and just begin to pray through these next 21 days. Lord, what is it? How are you asking me to be involved in this fast? So that's fasting. Today I'm going to talk to you about the spiritual discipline, practice, rhythm of solitude. Solitude. I honestly feel like this practice, this rhythm is probably harder than fasting at this point. It's not that it necessarily was 50 years ago. I think especially now with this, all of our screens, all of the noise, all of the things that are competing for our attention or background noise, the idea of actual solitude is, I would say, for many people, more anxiety producing than missing lunch. Because I would go so far to say, if you leave the house and you're going to work and you forgot your lunch that you packed, you're 15 minutes away, you'd probably be like, I'll figure it out. But if you're 15 minutes away from home and you left your phone, you're like, you're running over people. You're like, move out of my way. I'm going to be late for work because I got to go back and get my phone, my screen, because I'm so disconnected if I don't have it. But lunch, I'll figure it out. But my phone, that's a whole nother thing. And so I think I wanted to start off by asking you this question. When was the last time that you sat in complete silence and didn't reach for your phone? Yeah, there's a little nuance there. When was the last time you sat in complete silence and didn't reach for your phone? Turn on something, turn on the television, turn on some music. I'm not talking about the times where you found yourself waiting in line that you didn't expect. You're like, oh my gosh, I left my phone in the car. And I'm not talking about the times where you found yourself in traffic and you're like, oh my goodness, this wasn't the plan. I mean real silence, not like music and no talking, no notifications, no background noise, just on purpose quiet. Some of you are like, I am pit sweating right now. Please don't make us do that. I would say most people can't remember the last time they experienced that. True silence, without something that you're holding on to. And for many people, the thought of it actually is anxiety producing, a little or a lot. Have you ever noticed what happens the moment that things get quiet? We reach for things. Like on a car ride and things get quiet, we reach. In a waiting room, we're like, I was at a waiting room at a doctor's office this week. What did I do? I reached. I'm very important, so I had to reach, and you're watching television, you're watching a screen, what do? We reach. So we have two screens because we're no quitters. We're multitaskers, right? Like you're on an elevator. You're there for 20 seconds tops. What do? You reach because it's quiet. It's weird. It's awkward. You reach. You go into here's the reality. Here's the one. Go into the bathroom. This man knows exactly. I'm never touching your phone. Never touching his phone. Listen. You go to the bathroom, you reach. We reach. Lying in bed at night, trying to go to bed. It's been a crazy day. It's been so crazy. And this has happened to everybody. Oh, I think I broke a tooth. Did I break a tooth? We reach. I would go so far as to say this. It's so habitual that it becomes automatic. We don't even think about it anymore. Like it's that much of a norm for us to always reach and to be afraid of quiet, because the truth is that silence makes many of us feel uncomfortable in the middle of a conversation or just in the middle of a room. Stillness feels unnatural. Quiet feels awkward. And so we reach. And when it comes to deepening our relationship with God, I would go so far to say is like we struggle with not so much believing, we struggle with quiet. Just being. And one of the reasons I think that we avoid quiet is because I think deep down we're afraid of what we'll hear if everything slows down. Or the thoughts that might start coming if we're just not preoccupied. And today I'm going to talk to you about this idea of solitude. The first point is this, like we can forget how to hide and seek with God. Now, when I say hide and seek, I don't mean like a child's game of hide and seek where the kid hides and like, you go look for me, count to 10 and find me. I mean that like Jesus, we see a rhythm in his life of hiding and seeking. It wasn't just hiding, it was hiding and seeking his Father at the same time. We see this time and time again in the life of Christ. Like it's important for us, like as we endeavor to follow Jesus, that when things get busy, I would say especially when things get hectic, when like the demands of life feel overwhelming, that we would choose to hide and seek with God. It's the thing that we watch Jesus do time and time again throughout the Gospels. In fact, it says this, Luke chapter 5, verse 16, says, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." What is that? It's the rhythm of hiding and seeking. Hide and seek. He would withdraw into solitude, but it wasn't just about being alone. It was about being alone to pray, to be alone with his Father. I think it's important that we make a distinction, especially in our day and age, between isolation and solitude. They're different. They're very different things. Isolation is being alone. Isolation, I just need some more me time. Isolation is like I'm just gonna hide. I'm gonna get away. I'm gonna not be connected for a moment. But the practice of solitude is different. The practice of solitude is hiding and seeking. It's being alone with God. Solitude is hiding and being with him. Solitude is something that Jesus never avoided. In fact, Jesus seems to pursue it on a regular basis. In fact, it says that it was his custom, that this is what he did. And he had a lot of things going on. He had a lot of demands in a very short time to be able to do all of this stuff. And yet we see Jesus getting away and hiding and seeking. And our main scripture that Katie just read is that in Mark chapter 6, I want to give you just a little bit of background to Jesus inviting his disciples to come away with him. At that point in in Mark chapter 6, ministry with Jesus is exciting, it's exhilarating, and it is expanding exponentially. Jesus is preaching, and things are happening, and his ministry is booming. They're famous. And so Jesus decides he's going to take his 12 disciples and he's going to send them out to do the works that he's been doing, and he sends them out 2 by 2. And he's like, hey, they go out and they preach. They're preaching the kingdom. They're casting out demons, and they're healing the sick, and they have a grand old time doing it. And they're like, this is so exciting. They come back to Jesus. I don't know how long they were gone, but they come back and they're like, this was amazing. Ministry is awesome. We are so pumped. Jesus, we went here and there was this one guy, and then we prayed for him, and a demon, and then this other guy. And they're just excited. Like, they're ecstatic that ministry is so cool. But Jesus sees something deeper. And we see it in verse 31. It says this in Mark 6, then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. It's important to see that it's not that they were weak, it's that they were weary. And I think that many times we don't see when we're weary. We're certainly not weak. We don't like that. That's a bad word. That's a horrible word. Well, I'm not weak. I'm strong. I'm capable. I'm competent. I can do all of these things. And yet Jesus sees in the midst of this excitement, in the midst of this 2 by 2, and ministry is awesome, there's a weariness on the inside that he's like, hey, I think we need to get away. And I think this is where maybe a lot of us live. It's like we're not weak. We're just busy. We're not lazy, we're productive. We're not overwhelmed, we're multitaskers. And yet we're tired on the inside. And sometimes it's because we don't ever get quiet. We don't often practice the practice of solitude. And maybe some of you are feeling that right now, like even like as you come into church, you're coming in here today, like you're feeling that tiredness on the inside, whether you've slowed down to see it or not. It's almost like the Lord is highlighting it. Like, yeah, this is you. Like, he's preaching to you, Justin. Like, he's preaching to you in the midst of all of this craziness. Like, you're still functioning, you're still producing, you're still showing up, but underneath it, you're tired. And not necessarily physically, but like soul tired. And here's the warning. The warning is this: don't let activity replace intimacy with God. Don't let activity replace intimacy. Because what ends up happening is spiritual exhaustion can often hide behind spiritual activity. We just keep going. We just keep moving. Ministry's awesome, isn't it? Like, everything's great. And I got this story and this amazing. Did you hear that testimony? And yet there's like a spiritual exhaustion that can hide behind spiritual activity because you just keep pushing, just keep moving. Which means that you can serve, you can sing, and you can show up and still feel empty and still feel distracted. And so we can lead like hurried, noisy, crowded lives and then wonder why we're just not hearing God as clearly as we once did. And it's usually because somewhere along the way we forget how to play hide and seek with God. See, the truth is that we don't drift into the practice of solitude. In fact, I would say in our world today, you're going upstream to try to practice the practice of solitude. We try to honestly stay away from it for the most part. But I love the kindness of Jesus in Mark chapter 31, where he invites them to come. They're excited about this reporting all of what just happened in their missionary journey, but Jesus sees something that they couldn't see because they're in the midst of excitement, they're in the midst of activity, and Jesus is like, hold up. Point number 2 is this: Jesus knew when to hide and seek. You can look through it. You can look through the Gospels. It's almost weird because to us, Jesus seems to hide and seek at weird times. It doesn't even make sense. Like, things are amazing, things are awesome, and Jesus is like, I'm going to get away. They're like, I'm sure as a disciple, they're like, what? What do you mean you're getting away? We're in the peak of being influencers here. Like, are you kidding me right now? Why in the world would you decide at this time that you're going to get away? For how long? Where are you going? just going to go up there's a lonely place I know. What, a lonely place? Yeah, you guys can come with me. Sometimes he'd just go by himself. But I love his kindness in this moment of verse 31 where he sees what they couldn't see and then invites them to hide and seek with him. He sees their tiredness and he doesn't, he didn't wait for them to notice that they needed rest. Isn't that good that God doesn't wait for you to notice that you need rest? Like he actually instituted the Sabbath not because we said we needed it. He says you need it. This is for you. Like, this is for your good. He's like, because you don't always, because you'll just work right up to the margin. You'll just work right up. You'll just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And from the very, very beginning, like he instituted Sabbath because he knew that we needed it. And I think that solitude is one of these things where God's just saying, this should be a regular part of your life. He knew when to hide and seek. And I want to just give you three reasons that I look at. There's probably others, but I think these are pretty significant about how Jesus knew when to hide and seek. The first reason that he would hide and seek is this. He would hide and seek before making major decisions. Before making major decisions. Luke chapter 6, verse 12 says this. One of those days, Jesus went out to a mountainside to pray and spent the night praying to God. When morning came, he called his disciples to him and chose 12 of them, whom he also designated apostles. How many of you know that's probably something you want to probably get away with the Lord on because you're making a big decision, a major decision. So before choosing the 12, Jesus withdrew. In order to get clarity about a decision, Jesus withdrew. Before giving important directions and like, hey, I'm going to actually call you apostles, disciples, you're going to be my 12, Jesus withdrew. He didn't make big decisions in the noise. He actually made them in the quiet. He would get away and hide and seek. Number two, the second reason why Jesus would choose to hide and seek is after experiencing emotional weight. After experiencing emotional weight. Matthew chapter 14, John the Baptist had been put in prison, and then he was later beheaded from some sick request from family members of Herod. John's disciples, the story goes is John's disciples come and they take the body of John the Baptist, and then they go and they find Jesus, and they tell him this heart-wrenching news about his cousin. And Matthew 14, verse 13 says this. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. So Jesus hears about John the Baptist being executed, and he's experiencing grief, he's experiencing shock, he's experiencing emotional weight at the very least, and his instinct wasn't, well, we just got to keep going, we got to keep pushing, we got to keep moving. His instinct was to hide and seek after experiencing emotional weight. The third reason that we see Jesus withdrawing and choosing to hide and seek, to go into solitude, is this: when your pace threatens your soul. When your pace threatens your soul. Luke chapter 5, verse 15 says, "Yet the news about him spread all the more, so that crowds of people came to him to be healed of their sicknesses." Catch this though. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. Which seems crazy to me, because like the crowds grew and the need increased and the pressure is building and the crowds are around and his leadership is gaining more influence and his decisions are becoming more complicated. But Jesus withdrew more, not less. I hope you see the rhythm of Christ. Like verse 16 says that he did it often. It was actually part of his custom. It was a pattern. It was a rhythm. It was a habit. It was a practice. And Jesus did it before pressure. He did it after pressure. And he did it during pressure. So if you're kind of in a place where you're like, well, I've got some major decisions coming up, this might be a good practice. If maybe you're just coming off some emotional weight that you've just experienced in your life and you're like, whew, it's been a rough season, this might be your practice. If you're in the place where you're like, no, I'm actually in the middle of it, and I wish I had time for some solitude, but I don't have any time for your tude, right? Like I am very busy. I've got a lot going on. This might be your practice. Like Jesus didn't withdraw because he was bored and he had nothing to do. Can we agree on that, right? Like the guy had a lot to do. He didn't actually have time to get away and to withdraw. He retreated because he had too much to carry without connection with his Father. He had too much to carry without being connected to his Father. So he chose to withdraw, not because his time and his leadership didn't matter. He chose to withdraw because his connection with his Father mattered first, and he knew it. And you watch Jesus' instructions for prayer even. When he talks about praying, he's like, hey, when you pray, in Matthew chapter 6, verse 6, he talks about prayer. He says, when you pray, he says, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Even in his instruction for prayer, he's like, you should hide and seek. Hide and seek. And if Jesus needed that rhythm, how much more do we? How much more do we? In Luke chapter 4, the gospel tells us that the Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness and he was tempted by Satan. I would say this, and I know you're not Jesus, but many times when you are kind of walk into a season of solitude or begin like addressing this practice, the hard part about solitude is that sometimes solitude is where God deals with what busyness lets us avoid. You just got to keep moving, just got to keep going, just got to keep busy, keep scrolling, keep reaching. That solitude is where God deals with what busyness lets us avoid. And so make sure that you choose to hide and seek, especially when your pace threatens your soul, especially when you don't have time for it. Number 3, Jesus withdrew to draw near. I love his invitation to his weary disciples. Mark chapter 6, verse 31. Catch every single word that he says in this one verse. This is his invitation. He says, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. Here's the most important part of all of this, is that Jesus wasn't inviting them to just withdraw, to go on a vacation. He says, come with me by yourselves, not to escape, but to connect. He's like, hey, we're not just trying to like get some me time. I'm not just saying, hey, just go away, just get away by yourself. He's like, no, come with me by yourselves. That's the invitation. Come with me by yourself. Get away with me and receive rest for your soul. Like solitude is not about running away from life. It's stepping away long enough to be able to live it well. I need to just get some perspective here. Like Jesus never invites people into isolation. He's never like, hey, you know what you need? You need just a month, just you and nobody else. You should just isolate from everybody. That's the healthiest version of you. And everyone's like, I know that's not true. He never invites us into isolation. He invites us into intimacy with him. And here's where many of us get it sideways, is that like, we're working for God, but we're not working with God. We're doing things for him. And when you work for God without working with God, you become tired on the inside. Because why? Because it's just like, I'm just running, I'm just doing, I'm just showing up, I'm persevering, I'm trying hard, I'm doing all the things, I do what I've said that I do, I'm saying yes, I'm busy, I'm hectic, I'm scheduled. And yet, if we're doing all these things for him without doing things with him, then we just get tired on the inside. We don't actually find rest. Because his invitation is, come with me by yourself. Get away with me, and you'll find rest for your souls. Number 4, clarity comes in quiet, not in noise. Clarity comes in quiet, not in noise. So you remember in the beginning of this message, we were in Mark chapter 6. Remember, Jesus sends his disciples out 2 by 2. They're so excited. They're like, ministry's amazing. This is awesome. All these things God's doing through us. And like he used me. And I'm like laying hands on the sick. They're getting healed, casting out devils. Like this is crazy. I actually had words. I kind of preached your sermon, Jesus. I give you credit. But like, I preached your message and it hit almost as good. Like it was amazing. Ministry is amazing. And then Jesus sees that they're tired on the inside and can use some rest, and he invites them. He says, come away with me by yourself to a quiet place and get some rest. Now, if I'm a disciple and I just came off of this 2 by 2 amazing time of ministry, this was awesome, this is what I'd be thinking. I'd be thinking, is this an all-inclusive resort? This sounds amazing, Jesus. We're coming with you, just you, me, and us. Like, this is awesome. Yes, yes, yes. We need it. Boys' night. Yes, absolutely. And he's thinking, the second question with this, will I be drinking out of a coconut? Because this sounds, Jesus, this is right up my alley. Thank you very much. And I think I deserve this. I mean, I've been working hard for you. And they're already getting excited. This is going to be amazing. This is Jesus time, and like this is going to be the best weekend. I need a vacation. Hallelujah. Mark 6, verse 32, catch it. So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. But, it's a big but many who saw them were leaving. They recognized them and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. So they land the boat. They're like, we're going. They're playing the tiki music. They're like, this is awesome. Yeah, we're getting away with Jesus. Yes. And then they look across at the other side and they're like, what's going on over there? People are like, Jesus, Jesus. No. That's not what's going on right now. No, we're getting on vacation. This is going to be amazing. We're not, what are we doing? What's the plan? It says, people recognized them, ran on foot, got there ahead of them, so they land the boat, and rather than being escorted through the crowd, Jesus begins ministering to the crowd. And if I'm one of these guys, I'm wondering like about this vacation that Jesus promised. You just said we're going to get away to a solitary place, just you and us, and we're going to have an amazing time. Watch what they say to Jesus. This is how I know that they're like you and I. Verse 36. Look at their first words. Send the people away. But they don't want to come off like we think like we would. So they say, send the people away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat. They must be starving. I know I am. So they go in this, I just want you to see this. They go from ministry is awesome to send the people away. Why? Because I think they make the same mistake that all of us make, which is they were looking for rest to come through a vacation. They thought, a week in Disney is going to heal my tired soul. If you've ever spent a week in Disney, you know that a week in Disney does not heal a tired soul or an empty pocketbook. Like you leave Disney like, either there's some of you I know and you're gonna give me emails, Disney's amazing, it's magical, and I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. Okay, you do you, right? Like I'm okay. Here's the point in your notes. But rest is found not in a destination, it's found in connection with Jesus. He's not like, yeah, we're going on vacations, everything's going to be amazing, and then you're going to find rest. He's like, no, guys, just come away with me. Like, I'm just saying, like, even on this boat ride, you're going to be coming with me. I want to speak to you. I want to pour into you. I want to give you rest for your souls that a week at Disney will never accomplish. Matthew chapter 11, Jesus says to this, he says, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Notice that he does not say, come to a place. He says, no, come to me. Can I just say this? Some of you don't need more advice. You actually need more quiet. Some of you don't need another podcast, another book, another sermon. You just need some quiet. You actually need some solitude to come away with Jesus. Because we hear best when we slow down enough to listen. Because I firmly believe that God is not hard to hear, we're just hard to quiet. Solitude. Why don't you stand with me? So we're heading into 21, and these 21 days of prayer and fasting. I know for many of you, you're kind of in a place of like excitement and expectation and preparation for what it is that maybe God wants to do and change and shift in you. But here's the reality, though, and I don't say this lightly. I think that many times we come into seasons like this skidding on our heels, right? Like almost like, I so need this time. I'm glad that you are pushing us to do it because I need it, and I don't push myself enough to do the things that I need because I've got a lot of urgent, and usually the important suffers because of the urgent. So maybe for some of you in here right now, like you're maybe even spiritually dry right now. Like you're like, my life is loud, my schedule is loud, my phone is loud, my mind is loud, and you find that maybe you haven't heard God clearly in quite a while. Not because he stopped speaking to you, but because you haven't stopped long enough to listen. To just slow down, just stop reaching. And so part of the invitation into 21, and it's a really felt need, I think, for us, is to turn aside. To turn aside over these 21 days to intentionally reset some rhythms that maybe you've lost. Or maybe for some of you to create new habits that you've never even accessed before. Maybe like even what I'm talking about, you're like, I can wholeheartedly say I've never done this before. And for some of you, it's exciting, and others of you, it's terrifying. But I would just say, like, maybe that's the restlessness that you feel. So it's not by accident that we're talking about solitude today and tomorrow we fast. Because I was thinking about it like this, that like fasting without solitude is like hiding without seeking. So this week, as we enter into 21, here's the invitation. I want to invite you into something. It's this. Play hide and seek with God this week. Carve out some space, especially if you don't have time for it. And if you don't have time for it, maybe that's exactly what you need the most. So maybe for you, I just like maybe give you an envisioning, like maybe that's 10 minutes a day, right? Like, I don't know for you. Maybe it's 15 minutes. Maybe it's while you're during a missed meal time that you just decide, you know what, I'm I'm just going to get away for a little bit to a lonely place to get away with the Lord. And I'm going to leave my phone there. I'm just going to bring my Bible. Man, I'm going to test this solitude practice out. Like Jesus seems to like it. It must be good. I'll trust that. Maybe it's just you and Jesus in a quiet place. No phone, no noise, no distractions. I believe that God wants to engage with you to hear him more clearly in the next 21 days than maybe you have in years. Not because he's gotten louder, but because you've gotten quieter. So as we enter into this last song today, I know many of you will be coming to our worship night tonight at 6 p.m. I want to encourage you. We're going to have a ton of prayer stations over here and build off of some of these prayers that maybe some of you have written down on some of these scrolls 12 months ago. Names of people that you've been praying for that maybe were one of the 308 that got baptized this past year. Prayers for healing, prayers for revival that we've just even been experiencing the sparks of over the past 6 months. It's been this crazy season that we turn and give thanks in these moments. So Lord Jesus, I pray that as we enter into this season, we enter into it with expectation and also fully expecting you to surprise us. Pray that we would choose to not just fast at lunch, but that we would walk and get away with you so that we can get some real rest for our souls. Because I think many of us are tired on the inside. So Lord, rather than finding it a vacation or the next me time or the next doom scrolling moments, Lord, I pray that we would just take some opportunity to get away with you. We want to know you more. We want to seek your face. So maybe today, as we sing this song, you just consecrate yourselves before the Lord. Like, God, I open my heart to you. I give this over to you. And I have no expectation other than I want to see your face and I want to know you more. So surprise me with you. Let's sing together.